Hey, hi everyone. Hope all of you guys are doing pretty well. So in this video, we are going to discuss about one of the most common requirement while setting up your own lab environment. Sometimes we want to set up or we want to integrate Active Directory with couple of other IDM products. It may be Okta, it may be SailPoint, it may be Savient where you want to integrate the Active Directory with your own IDM tool and you wanted to learn something new about the integration. So couple of times we come across that we have couple of limitations on our laptop that we don't have enough memory to support that installation on a virtual machine. And on that moment of time, we look out for some other alternatives that how we can install AD over cloud. Now the cloud service provider may be Oracle, maybe AWS, maybe Azure AD. So whatever you wanted to use, it's your wish. But in this lecture, we are going to basically demonstrate that how you can set up your own Active Directory in AWS environment, and then we are also going to connect with any LDAP browser, either Apache Directory Studio or any other LDAP browser. We are going to connect with our newly installed AD with any of these clients. So let's start the installation of AD in AWS. So first what we require, we have to break the entire steps. We have to break the entire installation into several steps. The first step is basically we are going to install Windows Server. Let's say I'm going to install Windows 2019 Server. Once that's done, then we are going to add role. Add role for AD. Once that part is done, then we are going to basically configure the network. Configure your Windows 2019 server, the instance network, so that you can connect from the outside world to your instance via for the AD. So let's begin the journey. So first I am going to log into my AWS console. So let me open Chrome browser over here. Let me click on AWS console login. Let me log back in. So I have already logged in over here. Now you first need to select that okay under which region you wanted to deploy your instance. Okay, so I have selected Mumbai region, which is inside the Asia Pacific. Let me go to services and click on EC2. Now right now there are no instances running. Click on instances. In this page you can see the option of launch instance. Click on that. Now let me give the instance name over here. So instance name I'm going to give Active Directory. Now which particular operating system you wanted to install, let me click for browse more AMI and I'm going to search for Windows 2019. Let me search for Windows 2019. So there are various options available. I will go with the first one, Windows Server 2019 base, which is Data Center Edition and the language is English. Click on select. Click on confirm changes. Then once you selected, you have to select the instance type. So I will go for a higher instance. So click on this and I will go for T2 medium where you will get 2 virtual CPU and you will have 4 gigabits of memory. Now here you can see the pricing. For pricing, the Windows pricing is 0.0676 USD per hour. So if you calculate, if your machine will run continuously for 1 month without shutting down, it will cost you around, let me just calculate it. So it is 0.0676 into 24, that is for 1 day cost, it will be 1.6624 into 30 days. So it will cost you around $50. Okay, so $50 is equivalent to around 4000 rupees if you continuously turn on your instance. But in most of the cases, we just need this AD machine only last for 24 hours. You just want to use it for 24 or 48 hours. So it will hardly cost you 250 or 260 rupees, Indian rupees. Okay. So let me go with T2 medium. So I've selected it. Let me select the key pair name. So this key pair name is very much important. Okay. So click on new key pair. Let me select the name as Active Directory and select the PEM file, create key pairs. You will see that a PEM file will be downloaded to your machine. So let me just store this PEM file. So let me go to my storage where I wanted to store it. Let me go for Active Directory PEM. So I just stored it over there. Now network settings are there. So I'm just setting up allow RDP traffic from anywhere. So that's the default one. So I'm just going with the default one, and later we will configure the other ports as well. We'll configure the firewall later. Now once you're done with this information, click on launch instance. Now it will take couple of minutes to launch your instance. So you can click on this. You can see the instance state is still pending. So it will take couple of minutes to make your instance in the running state. So first it is going to install it, and then only you will be able to connect with your instance. You can see this is your public IP. So through this IP you can connect with your instance. So it will take some time. Now you can see now the instance state is in the running mode. So now you are good to connect with your instance. So if you wanted to connect, simply scroll to the right. You can see all the IP addresses and all the details are mentioned over here. So security group is selected as launch wizard 2. So we'll configure the security a little bit later, but before that let's install Active Directory. So let me click on connect. Now you will get two options. Either you can use this public DNS to connect with this, or else you can download the remote desktop file. So I'm going to download the remote desktop file. So let me quickly download it. So once it's downloaded, simply click on this to open the stuff. So click on connect. That will ask for the password. So how to get the password? For getting the password, you need to click on this get password. So in order to retrieve the password, you have to wait at least 4 minutes before you retrieve the auto-generated password. So let's wait for 4 minutes, and then we'll come back to this page again and we'll try to retrieve the password. So let's try to retrieve the password now, because it has been more than 4 minutes now for me. So click on connect, click on get password. It is asking you to attach the key file. Okay, so you might have noticed that we have downloaded this activedirectory.pem file. You need to basically attach that file in order to retrieve the password. So let me choose file. Let me go to the location where I have stored that PEM file. Let me click on open. Now click on decrypt password. Now you can see your default password is this one. Let me copy this password. Okay. Now let me download the remote desktop file again. Let me click on open, and I have the password now, so I will just use that password to log in. Now click on yes. You can see we are able to log into our Windows machine. Now once you logged in into your Windows machine, what is the first step that we need to do? We need to basically add a feature or a role to this Windows server, where we are going to select Active Directory domain services. Okay, so let me click on yes, and let's go ahead and open for server manager. Once the server manager will open for you, simply click on add a roles and feature. So it is running some inventory data collection. So let's wait for a couple of minutes until this collection part is over. So I believe that's over now. Click on this again. Click on next, next, next. Now in this page, you need to select Active Directory Domain Services. Select the second option. Click on Add Features. So you can see I have selected Active Directory Domain Services. Click on Next, 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 and simply hit Install. So it will basically install the role or the feature for Active Directory Domain Services. Once that part is done, then we need to configure or we need to promote this machine to a domain controller. That we'll see that how we can do that. Okay, so my feature installation is done. Now click on close. You will see an exclamation sign over here in the notification. Click on that and you can see you need to basically promote this server to a domain controller. Click on that. Now I wanted to add a new forest because this is the first new machine. This is the first domain controller in this particular environment. So we need to first add a forest and then we need to provide a name for your domain. So I'm going to add with a name corp.identityclasses.com. Click on next. Let me provide a password. So this password is basically the restore password, that if you forgot everything, then this will be used to restore your entire directory services. Okay. Once you provide the password, click on next. Click on next. So let me provide a NetBIOS name. So it will by default suggest you a NetBIOS name. So let it suggest. Most probably it will suggest that a NetBIOS name as corp. So let's go ahead with this corp only. Click on next. 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 It will do a prerequisite check. Once the checks will be done, we will simply hit on this install button. Click on install. So once the installation will be done, it will basically reboot your machine. Once the installation will be done, it will reboot your machine. So the installation is going on. So it will take a couple of minutes depending upon your instance, how much virtual CPU is available, how much RAM you have allocated. Depending upon that, sometimes it take 1 or 2 minutes, sometimes it take more than 2 minutes. Okay, so it's all depends upon your hardware configuration. Okay, so let it complete. Now you can see this server was successfully configured as domain controller and the system is going to be rebooted. Okay, the computer is going to be restarted and we will soon lose this connection to the remote desktop. Okay, now you can see the connection to the remote desktop has been closed. Okay, now what we are going to do, we will wait for a couple of minutes, at least 1 or 2 minutes. Okay, because your machine is restarting in the backend. So once it gets restarted, then only we are going to log in. Okay, so the login steps are again pretty much simple. We need to again come to this instances and click on this connect button. You need to download the desktop file. So let me download remote desktop file. Let me save it, replace the older one. Hit on this open, connect. It will ask you the user ID and password. Now this time we need to log in via the domain. Okay, because we have that machine is now utilized as a domain. So earlier it was identity classes that administrator. No, we need to basically click on more and use a different account. The different account would be corp, because that was your NetBIOS name, /administrator. Okay, because you have your machine has been promoted to a domain controller. So corp /administrator, and the password is going to remain same. Password is going to remain same. I don't know whether I have copied the password or not. Let me try to paste it. I have the password with me. Okay. Now let's try to provide the password and I will click on OK. So it will take some time to provide you the access because machine is still doing something in the backend, because right now you have just now installed a new feature, so couple of group policies and other stuffs needs to be applied to your virtual machine. Okay, so it will take couple of minutes. So let's wait until our remote desktop establishes a connection with our AD system. Let me click on yes. Now you can see, please wait for the group policy client. It is applying couple of updates. So it will take another 1 or 2 minutes to apply these updates. In the meanwhile, what we are going to do, we are going to set up the firewall so that we can connect via the port number 389. So 389 is a general port that is being utilized by your Active Directory. Okay, so 389 port number is a non-secured port, and port number 636 is basically for LDAP-S, and 389 is only LDAP. Okay, so let's open this port from the firewall. Okay, let's open the port from the firewall. Now here you need to understand couple of stuffs. Whenever you are working on any cloud, okay, there are two levels of firewall. One is OS level firewall and the second one is network level firewall. Now this network level firewall is being configured from the AWS console. Okay, and OS level firewall you are going to configure from the OS. Okay, that which ports are allowed and all. So by default, when you install Active Directory, when you install the role for Active Directory, the OS allow port 389, the OS allow port 636 and couple of other ports as well. But in the network level, when we install the instance, it was only allowed port 3389, which is used for remote desktop protocol, which is used for remote desktop connection. Other ports are not at all enabled. So if you try to establish a connection to port 389 of this machine, it will be failed because your network level firewall does not allow the connection. Okay, so we need to add port 389 here as well to allow the connection. So let's do this configuration. So let me first show you. Let me go for Windows Firewall. Let me search with only term firewall and you will be able to see something called Windows Firewall with advanced security. So let me open this. Okay, now if you go to the inbound rule, that what are all the ports that this OS allow. Okay, so if you search for here, this is I believe LDAP TCP, and if you double click on this, so it will allow there is an inbound rule automatically created in the system that will allow the remote traffic over port 389. So all the connections coming to port 389 will be allowed by your operating system. But if you go to our console, okay, so how you can understand which particular subnet is attached and all, you will be able to get that security group over here. So you can see we have a security group attached to this machine, which is launch wizard. To click on this, okay, it will directly open that page. Now if you go to the inbound rule, you will be able to see there is an inbound rule already associated with this security group, which is allowing port 3389. So click on edit inbound rule, and in this page add a new rule, which is custom TCP give the port number as 389. Let me go with any IP that anyone over the internet will be able to connect to port 389 of my machine. Let me give a description as LDAP. Okay, now let me click on Save Rules. Now we have allowed port 389 over the network firewall, that okay, anyone will be able to communicate with my port number 389. Okay, my machine is up and running. Now it's time to perform the testing. So before we perform the testing, I am going to open a tool called MobaXterm. Okay, MobaXterm is basically a SSH client through which you can connect to Linux operating system. So I will just start a local terminal because there's a tool called netcat, okay, which stands with NC. So using this utility, you will be able to perform the network connectivity, whether you are able to connect over the port number 389 of your Windows AD machine or not. Okay. The alternative in Windows system is telnet command. You can either download the telnet client and you can use that, or you can go ahead with MobaXterm and use this NC command. Okay, so NC -v, and then you need to provide the public IP of your machine. So let me go to EC2 instances and let me grab the IP address. So my public IP is this one. So let me simply copy it from here. So this is my public IP and the port number I'm trying to connect is 389. Hit enter. You can see the connection got succeeded. If there was any network issue, it will never got succeeded. So if I run the same command and go with 636, you will be able to see that there is no response coming up because 636 is blocked. Okay. Similarly, for any other port, you will not be able to connect. So we have our IP address, we have the port number. Now I'm going to open my Apache Directory Studio. You can use any LDAP browser, it's up to you which LDAP browser you wanted to use. So let me use and click a plus button to create a new connection. Let me give the detail over here. Let me give AWS new AD. Click on next. Provide the username. So my username is corp, then administrator, and then the password. I think I need to copy the password again. So let me click on connect. Let me get password. Let me decrypt password. So this is my password. Let me copy it. So I've just given the password over here. It should be backward slash. Okay. Click on next, and click on finish. So if everything works fine, you'll be able to see that, okay, you have been successfully able to connect to your Active Directory. Okay. Where we have various users in the left side, we have administrator and we have a couple of other users. So in this way, we can basically install Active Directory over the AWS cloud.